Hey guys, so welcome back. On the bench today we've got a Emerson radio. This is a model 641, I believe it's a 641B, and I think it's from about 1952. I don't know how many years they made this, so we can look to see if we find a date code inside. As usual, if I find one I'll point it out. I may not know how to translate it, but we'll see if it's where it is. So it's I believe it's pretty much an All-American 5. It's got separate tubes for the oscillator and the mixer. Got a schematic for it here. Yeah, so it's got a separate, this is the mixer, here's your oscillator tube. So there's, I believe there's 6 tubes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tubes. Okay, let's see what else we have. Oh, so we've got two tubes here between the IF transformers. That's interesting. Okay, so that's a little bit different. We'll check that out and see how that goes. Alright, so the tube complement is 6BJ6, 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 6BJ6. You seen a pattern here? And then we have a 12AT6, a 50C5 output tube, and a rectifier's 35W4. Alright, so it's a series string set, no transformer. So we'll just get into this. Oh, it's got a pilot light. Ah, right there. That's cool. Alright, we'll get into this and see what it looks like inside. I picked this up at an auction. I think I paid $5 for it. And you know, it's got everything there. It looks like the tuning works. Yeah, tuning works. It has a tone control, that's nice. And volume control. AM only. Looks like this plastic is shrunk up. We can replace that if we need to. But the case looks like it's been scrubbed with a scouring pad, so the plastic's in pretty rough shape. This might be Bakelite. Alright, let's see what the inside looks like. I'll have to pull the knobs off here in a minute. Don't let me forget like I did before. Okay. The model number is barely still here on the tag, but you can say it's a model 641 Series B, 30 watts. Okay. Looks like we got one screw holding it in. So it's got that going for it. It's nice this guy's still got a back panel. Alright. Alright, we got a loop antenna. This is probably for an external antenna if you want to add one. I think it said in, I was looking in the writers, I think it had a note in there saying if you wanted to, you could hook it up to an external antenna for better reception. I see a mud dauber nest inside, right up there. That's always a good sign. It's been out in the garage or something, or somebody's shed. Alright, so I see another one in there on top of the IF can. That's always good to see. Covering up the adjustment hole. You'll see that in a minute. I'm going to go ahead and just pull the knobs off the front and slide the chassis out. Since we know we're not going to plug it in until we do that. Okay. Set screw, don't see one. The knobs are all the same. They don't have any index marks on them that I can see. The little brass or bronze, whatever you want to call it, coloring is rubbed off in the middle. It's not too surprising. Okay, knobs are off. And out it comes. Let's see how grossed out we can be from what we see inside. See if we've had a menagerie of animals living in here. Let's see, where do I want to grab it? Okay, we're out of the case. That speaker's got a nice enclosure around it. The grill cloth is in excellent condition. When's the last time you heard me say that? As you can see, the acetate or whatever the type of plastic is that's over the dial cover is the kind that I think it's made of like an animal, I mean a vegetable product. It shrinks up. Anyway, I may be totally wrong about that, but anyway, maybe we can come up with a replacement for that if we need to. We'll see. All right, let me get this out of the way. All right, let's take a look at the chassis here. It's going to be fun getting in there and adjusting that IF transformer, isn't it? It's always interesting why it is bugs seem to enjoy getting into these things. Got more mud dauber nests on the back of the antenna. Have to be careful getting that off. The spit or whatever they use is just like a really amazing glue. Now, look at that speaker. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful speaker. Let's see if it'll move. I bet it will just fine. Yeah. It was fine, no dragging. It's in excellent shape. Boy, I may put something over that pretty quick to keep me from putting my finger right through it. Okay, tube layout. We got little tubes in here. Looks like there's a tube present in every spot. Alright, when we get to do a quick check on the series string here. See if we've got everything going through. We can go tube 3 of the rectifier through to the B-, which is after the switch. So I should be able to go the line that goes to the switch, which is, oh, we didn't look at the underside. Beg your pardon. Okay. I think somebody's been in here. Those brown drops are not original. How's that for not bothering to cut off your lead that you're done soldering with, huh? Really? Okay. Got another brown drop here. We got one couplet here, spread couplet. I'm imagining that's been changed. I could be wrong. That's a bit how you doing, right? Here and here. Yeah, so that's been changed out, obviously. That would have been the first tell, right? So the question is, did they give up on this? I don't know. Looks clean on the inside, doesn't it? All right, well, let's see how we get on the continuity. All right, so drop my schematic. So I'm not checking continuity, I'm checking resistance. So I want to see the resistance through the series of heaters, right? Okay, so let's pick it up at, what did I say? I said we could pick up one of them at the connection of the switch, which I believe is this one. The switch is on. So that's making contact through here to the B-, come over here on this side. And now what we want to do is go to pin 3 of the rectifier tube. Okay. The front is here. So 35W4 is up here. And I went pin 3. I guess we can all see this. I couldn't even see it. Okay. So this is working. Yep. Pin 3. 1, 2, 3. 20 ohms. Yep, we have got continuity through the filament string. And 6. Yep. And 4. Yep. Okay. That's good. So what do you want to do? You want to go to power up? I'm going to put it on the dim bulb just in case there's been a problem with the restoration that somebody attempted to do here. I mean, I'm saying attempted because I don't know why they would have left it like this. You know, I guess I'll do them a favor and cut it off right now. There's no reason to leave it like that, that's for sure. All right. Now these are kind of flaky, but I'm going to just leave that for now. I don't think they're shorting against anything, and that'll. We should have a new filter capacitor in there, so we might get some reaction out of this. We'll just see. All right, we're going to go for it. You're going to watch the voltage going in here. I had the volume, the switch on. Go ahead and turn that on. We still have the antenna connected. We're not resting anything metal, are we? No. I'm going to go ahead and turn it up in case I want to check some voltages while I have it on. Okay. This feels like the original power cord. It is not polarized. And so we plug it in. Turn down voltage. Watch for it come up here. Dim bulb is in the circuit. 60 volts. There's 70. 140 milliamps. Okay, now we wait. 130 milliamps seems a little low. I see glow. What do you say, man? You got any life? We got a blown audio output transformer? Okay, we're at 95 volts. I'll take it to an even 100. And let's poke around here a little bit. Give me a minute. I'm going to put my leads on my test leads here. My lamp glowing. My pilot light is not glowing. Okay, that could possibly do something. I don't know. Let's see. It's a 47. 47. Yep, I got a bunch of those. Hold on. New 47. Turn to work and see if that light comes on. We got glow on the bulb. I can see it. It is glowing. Okay, I turned it down to 45 volts. $180 milliamps. I know I'm moving quickly, but I can tell that's not that old of a capacitor. The bulb is glowing. Can you see it? That is. I have tube glow inside. So we go back to 100 volts. Okay, so the the cathode of the rectifier is pin 7. That's here. Nothing. Think we got a bad rectifier tube? That's what it looks like. Let's see. See if we get any voltage to it. So we want to go to, let's just check the plate, which is pin 5. I think that's what that is. No, that can't be right. Pin 5 is the plate. .3 volts. We got a very bright glow in the bulb, as you can see. We're only getting 4.7 there. Those bulbs are there also as kind of as a fuse. They can blow to protect your output tubes. I mean your rectifier tube. So the fact that that was popped makes me concerned that maybe there is a problem with that tube. Well, I've got a replacement. Let me go dig it up and we'll replace the rectifier tube. Okay, so I've got another 35W4 here, and I'll replace the one that's in here. Just short tubes. It was warm. Well, it wasn't on the 35W4. That's a 6BJ6. Front. Okay. I must be looking, I was thinking this was looking underneath. It's not, it's looking down from the top. Well, that's nice. Okay, I've been measuring the wrong place. Okay then. Let's try that again. I was going to say that looked like an awfully short tube for a 35W4. Okay, let's try this again. So the rectifier tube, 35W4, yeah, that makes more sense, is this one right here. 35W4 is on the bottom. Okay then. Let's go back to our power up test. Well, we know we got glow in the bulb, we know we got glow in the tube, so we know that the continuity through the string is okay. So let's go back, low power. We got glow on the pilot light. It's glowing. I had the voltage up higher a little while ago, so I'll go ahead and crank it up. I didn't change anything. Okay, 100 volts. Here and here, line voltage, 100 volts. Yep, 97. Okay, now we're back. Okay, so now we're going to go check plate voltage on the rectifier tube. I keep saying plate voltage. I'm trying to say cathode voltage on the rectifier is pin 7. So that is located, I think it's here. .85 volts DC. Okay, that seems reasonable. Then from there we go through the output transformer and then we go to pin 7 of the 50C5. 50C5 should be this one. I said pin 7. Okay. Pin 7 of the 50C5. That doesn't look good. Alright, so here's the output audio output transformer. That's the output. So pin 7 is here. It goes up and hits the coil and then comes back to pin 7. Yeah, I'm afraid we may have a problem with our audio output transformer because we're not getting any voltage out of it. So what I did was I checked mine DC. Yeah, I checked here. I was getting, was it 85 volts or something like that, DC coming out of the cathode of the rectifier. It comes zooming up here, goes to the winding of the audio output transformer, and then goes to the plate of pin 7, the 50C5, and I'm getting virtually nothing there. So that says that this is probably dead. I may have a way I can check that real quick. Let me take this little guy. He's handy. Grab some leads for it. And let's see, we're in the audio section here. Let's see. Alright, so I go here. Then I want to go to
do something about it? And we saw him at batting practice. He was hitting rockets everywhere. Sure was.
Okay, well, we got something wrong in the audio section, and I'm afraid it's the audio output transformers burned up. That is right here. So I'm going to lift a lead and see what I can find out about it. Let me get that set up. Okay, I've pulled the lead off of one of the lines to the speaker. So let's check resistance across the speaker first of all. Okay, 3.5 ohms DC. Okay, what do we get across the secondary of the audio output? 1.1 ohms. Okay, so the secondary is okay, which is usually the case, and it's a larger wire. All right, let's get after the primary. All right, so now to check, let's see the resistance to the secondary. What we'll do is we'll grab the secondary lead right here, which is coming from pin 7, the plate of the audio output tube right here. So I'm clipped onto there, and now I've just cut this lead, so I'm going to go in there and just apply a touch to it. And let's hope we see something here. We're checking the primary. Primary is blown open. So there's your problem, lady. Yeah. So the audio output transformer is blown. Let me see what I can do about that. Okay, so I've unsoldered the leads to the speaker. So there's the secondary. Cut the other lead to the primary, so we just get it out of here. Either if I replace it or if I try to repair it, it's going to have to come out. We'll do a final check on it. check resistance. This is the primary side. Ohmmeter is working. It's open. Check the secondary, I'm sure it's good. Meter's working. Yep. Should be about an ohm. Yep. Primary is shot. Primary is wide open. No continuity through it at all. Okay. We've got three options. Send it for the next auction. Or see if I can find a replacement audio output transformer. I probably could, since this wasn't mounted to the speaker. It makes it a little bit easier, maybe. Third option is see if can I fix this. If you've looked at any of my channel videos, you know I might be willing to give that a shot. It all depends on whether this is the external, you know, the outermost winding or the innermost winding. And if the lead that's broken is right there on the surface or not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and cut into this. I mean, what do you got to lose? And see if we can fix it. I'm going to do it right now. Let me get something to cut with. Let's see, can you see this? Or you can see this and not the back of my head. Okay, so we know that this is the primary side where it comes in. What I'm hoping for is similar to what we saw before when I did the Grunow, the 1937 radio. If you look in the early days of my channel, we had a similar issue, and I was able to resolve it. So let me see if I hold this about like this. Can you see it? Okay. Okay, that one seems to be connected. Can you see that? There's a little wire attached to the end of this. There, you can see it right there. So the red one seems connected. Okay. Let's go see what we can find out about the blue one. Don't want that to get broken off though. Okay. Okay, blue, we're counting on you. I think it's connected because it's hanging on the wire. The wire is embedded in the wrapping right here. You can see it. Well, it's not attached now. Okay, what we can do is I can excavate out that bit of wire and then see if it has continuity. Can you see what I'm talking about? I can excavate that wire out of here and see if it has continuity over to this wire. If it does, then we just need to reattach that one like we did in the Grunow. So let's see what we get. Let's see, let the excavation begin. There it is, there's the end. Can you see how small that is? What I'm going to do this time that I neglected to do last time is I'm going to try to measure the size of that wire. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to scrape some of the insulation off of this and try to check to see if I can get continuity from here to this red lead, which is still connected. And if the continuity is through there, then that's where the break is, and we can fix this with some patience. So let me get that scraped off and begin that measurement. What I did on the other one is that I got another piece of wire. I pulled it as a strand out of a small gauge stranded wire, and I pulled a single strand out of it, which was just a little bit bigger than this, and then I used that as a transition piece to make it easier to solder to the relatively large wire that comes to the output leads. I say the output leads, but the the leads that go off. Okay, I can't tell whether I'm through the insulation or not. I'm going to take I say insulation, I mean the enamel. Take a quick measurement of that. And then I'll look up the gauge in Edit and put it on the screen. Okay, so let's go to power on, mode in fractions of an inch. Alright, let's don't go fractions, let's go decimal in inches. Alright, so here we go. See that? So it's about 3.5 mils, 0.0035 inch. So you think, gosh, this guy, why don't you just grab a hold of that? Well, it's kind of small. And I can't see that well. Alright, let me see if my little micro grabbers will work here. I want to make that connection last because that's the hardest one to make. Alright, so we're going to have this connected. We're going to have the red lead. I'm going to use micro grabbers for that too because I don't want it yanking on that too much. Okay. Get that hooked up right. Over here. Okay. Turn this on to ohms. Is my meter connected and working? I think it is. Alright, let's see if we can get something. You holler first, I won't be able to see until I pull back. I don't see anything. That's not a good sign. Yeah. It's open somewhere inside the winding. Rattle up. This coil is history. You check this audio output transformer, see if it's any good. So that's the primary of this little rinky-dink audio output transformer. And sorry, that's the primary. Let's check the secondary. Okay, this transformer is okay. Sort of. But I believe that radio I just yanked it out of, I think it had a 50C5 audio output tube, I think. So it should work. It's just not going to have much power output capability. but allow us to troubleshoot the rest of the radio, and then maybe we can find another output transformer, because that was a nice speaker on that EMERSON. So we'll see what we can find. And meanwhile, let's put this in and continuing with to see if this thing is going to work. Okay, so we need to connect up to the outputs. I say outputs, the connections to the speaker. That is a nice speaker. I bet this thing sounds good with the right audio output transformer. We won't find out right now. Okay. This guy, polarity does not matter. Okay. So now we need to hook up the primary to these leads we cut a little while ago. Something went wrong, right? And they took it out of the living room or the spare bedroom or the kids' room or whatever and just put it away. And so it's interesting to try to figure out what went wrong, what was the problem with it. And this one had apparently a blown audio output transformer, and I guess maybe the fellow that did all this rework stuff didn't check it before he worked and did all this work, and lo and behold, he did all this work and found out, I don't have anything that's making any noise. And then he probably checked the output transformer then maybe and said, well, heck with it. I thought maybe one day I'll find one and put it in a box, and then it got forgotten about. Okay, so now what we need to do is hook up the primaries. So I've got to leave it here, and I'll use this green one because nobody's looking. What do you think? Think we got a chance? Normally I say I do, but I don't know, to be honest. Okay, let's see what we get. Could have a short, so we're obviously leaving the dim bulb in. You can see that okay? Yeah, alright, power, turn it down a little bit, bring it up. We got light on the bulb, went bright, dimmed down a little bit, which is what you're supposed to see. Nothing on the dim bulb. Amperage is 140 milliamps. 90 volts. So light on the bulb. Tubes are starting to glow. Tubes are definitely glowing. Here it comes.
Low 1-0. And that's lifted foul and out of play off to the right. Remember the 68 Yankees had a wonderful season? They sure did. But not like the 1910 Chicago White Sox, at least not in terms of batting average. The lowest on-base percentage for a full season for American League was 266 by the 1908 Brooklyn Dodgers. The A's have a 272 on-base percentage coming into this game. That's also worse than big leagues this year. Low 1-1. That is lifted down the right field line. Gurriel might have a play. No, won't be able to get there. That lands just inside the sidewall over by the Astros bullpen area, and it's 1-2.
Well, I'm getting filter hum.
Should all let's file a big complaint on it, because it's happened.
You can hear the hum. So what I'm going to do is do something about the filter, and then we'll see how it sounds then. Bring back after I get the filter put in. Yeah, so I use the M tester to see how this is reading, and neither one of these, red or blue, is it able to recognize. It just goes into test mode for a long time, and then it basically says, I don't know what it is. So I think this capacitor is from the early 60s. I'll show you why in just a minute. Yeah, see, this isn't going to work. Yeah, doesn't know what it is. You got the same answer for both the blue and the red. So I think, I'm not real skilled at this, but I think that that date code would imply this is from 62. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say this was replaced in the early 60s, and that somebody tried to rework this probably in the last, I don't know, 5 years or so, and never got around to changing this. Let me put a new set of capacitors in there. This is an 80 and a 50. I don't normally have the 80s around here other than jumping up higher than that. So what I'm going to do is I think I've got some 47s, and I'll just double up the 47 to get the 80, and then we get that hooked up. I'm not going to really wire it in too permanent right now because I'm just trying to see if we can get this thing working. And then if I get into doing restoration, then I'll hook things up properly and mount them and all that good stuff. So let me get those other capacitors put in and we'll see how it does. So I didn't have any 80 microfarad capacitors, but I know how to make one. There you go, 97 microfarads, ESR 1.5. That'll work. I don't know what happened to the camera. I must have run out of memory. So we got a noisy potentiometer. What's new there?
Every night is a promo night.
Let me clean that pod. Be right back.
Sox 4-2 winners over Detroit. Kendall Graveman, the winner, out of the bull. Chicago, he's now 3-1 on the year. Zach Greinke, he wins for Kansas City. They beat Cleveland 5-1. Greinke improves to 3-5 on the year. Minnesota 6, Texas Rangers 5. Dylan Bundy, the winner, is Bert takes the loss Duffy with his second save of the year. What you need, what's going on every day. On News Radio 740, KTRH.
Chairman says the board is committed to closing the transaction on the price and terms agreed upon. Musk alleges that Twitter breached multiple provisions of the merger agreement. On Friday, shares of Twitter fell 5%, while the CPI is due Wednesday, along with the...
Well, that little output transformer works just fine.
on Thursday. The producer price index comes out Thursday as well. A batch of economic reports rounds out the week Friday. The University of Michigan's Consumer Sentiment Index, retail sales for June.
Okay, I want to check the DC voltage.
Rich Thomason reporting. Ukrainian officials
I want to check to make sure that this coupling capacitor, which is actually built within a couplet, and make sure there's no DC or not any significant DC from this plate getting through to pin 2 or 5 of the 50C5. So let me check that real quick. So I need to check to the B-, which I'll pick up right here off these filter capacitors. And I want to measure it at right here, pin 2 or pin 5 of the audio output tube. Okay, audio output tube is here, pin 2 or 5. I can pick it up right here. So we want to see what do we have in terms of DC. That's the tone control. Yeah, that goes to tone control. That's 2. So we're getting virtually no DC through there. Right, hooked up to B minus, which is here, which is not the chassis ground, right? There is a difference between ground, or B minus, as it shows right here, and chassis ground. They're separated by this depth capacitor right here. We'll have to find him eventually and get rid of him. But anyway, so we went to B minus right here off of the capacitors, and then the other one I'm picking up right here off of this tone control right here. Good. No DC.
But above even asking price. Now it's really simple. More money spent marketing your home means more league, and we get to dominate the Yankees. Thanks, bud. That's nice. We can handle that.
Might be working. 1-558-KSEB, 281-5585.
Okay, I've had this plan for a couple of days, waiting to see if silver mica disease is going to crop up. It hasn't happened yet. Okay, so basically we're at a crossroads with this thing right here. I would say as far as repair goes, we've kind of repaired it. The problem was, it looked like to me that the person who was repairing this radio went to an awful lot of trouble and shotgun replaced all the capacitors, and then tried to see if it was going to work. And then, I'm going to guess, found out that the audio output transformer was blown, and then just threw it in the box. This is one of the reasons why I don't like to just go in and shotgun things. I've seen other folks online, particularly Shango for a very good example, of, don't do that. You put all this work into it and you wonder, did it not work because I rewired something incorrectly, or got a bad component, or I broke something while I was in there, or maybe it didn't work anyway. And if you knew why, maybe you wouldn't want to even invest the time. And so that's one of the reasons I take the time to go through and troubleshoot kind of the way he does, actually. I think it's a really good idea. Anyway, so we did it this case. We went through and found out that we weren't getting any noise out of this. We used a little signal tracer to find out we had an output coming from the detector out of the RF side into the volume control. So then we knew the problem was from the volume control on. And then when I went in and checked some voltages around the audio output tube, we found out we weren't getting any plate voltage to the 50C5. Then we started focusing in on the audio output transformer and found out it had no continuity through the primary. I dug through trying to valiantly save this, and I'm not going to be able to, I don't think. So, so much for that. So what I did was I found a scrap radio, which is this. This is a hold everything in. This is a GE. I think it's a 403G. It's got some elements about it I can salvage. It's got a clock. It's got a clock motor in here. I haven't even tested to see if that works. The speaker, as you can see, is shot in here, but it had a 50C5 tube that was in here that I think I had cannibalized for another project. But anyway, I knew this had a 50C5 output, as does this. So I thought, well, I've got a pretty good chance, as long as these are comparable impedance speakers, that output tube that was on here would work. It may have bothered people that I didn't actually check that. So maybe I'll do that in just a minute. But basically, I think what I may do is, this one's repaired. I can put this one back together in the box. If I can find, this output transformer is a little bit larger than the one I found. It probably would handle a little bit more power. It's not greatly so. I mean, it's still both the 50C5 output, so I imagine it's basically the same output power, about, what is it, 2.5 watts. This has a larger speaker, but we can check the impedance. And then what I'd like to do is, if this one, since this one seems to be working okay, I want to check its impedance ratio, or at least its winding ratio. That'll make it easier for me to find a replacement amongst junk pieces. And if I can find another one of these, then maybe what I'll do is go through and do a restore on this, because I think this has a nice tone, nice speaker. The cabinet's in good shape. I did notice when I was looking at edit in the last couple of days that there's a crack on one side I did not notice until I saw it on the video. I can try to repair that crack or at least prevent it from spreading. I don't know if I can polish the cabinet up in the air or not, but it's a nice looking piece. Sounds good. I think it'd be worth restoring. Anyway, that'll depend on whether I can find a good replacement audio output transformer. Anyway, let's go through and check, maybe why this audio output transformer seems to be okay and what we need to be looking for as a replacement for this. So let me get that kind of cleared away and we'll set up and show that real quick. Okay, since we know that this radio and my scrap radio both use the same audio output tube, the 50C5, we're going to compare the speakers. So we know what kind of impedance it's looking for out. We can look it up in the RCA manual. Let's look at what the speaker impedances are. So for the one that's here in the Emerson, power's off to this. These leads go to the speaker terminals on the other side. Now, this is not how you determine the impedance of a speaker, because this is just DC resistance. The impedance with an alternating current, you're going to pick up reactance from the inductance, and then that's going to cause your impedance to be higher. But 3.5 ohms, just DC resistance. I know that a shorthand way to do this is not correct obviously, but you can say, okay, that's about 3.5 times 1 1/4. So it's roughly a 4 ohm speaker. So it's reading about 3.6. Let's compare that to the speaker that's in the old junker radio. I mean, because if they measure the same DC resistance, I'm going to suppose they probably have the same impedance. Alright, so let's see if we can get in here to this hunk of junk. There's no coil, there's no paper left in this. And I got a lot of corrosion on these terminals, so we may need to wobble it around. It apparently sat in water. There you go. This is also a 4 ohm speaker. So it's a 4-inch 4 ohm. I think this is a 6-inch 4 ohm. But basically they have the same impedance. So I've got the same audio output tube. I got the same speaker impedance. Then that means that basically the audio output transformer should work, and it did. As you can see, there is a difference here in size. So I would expect they have the same turns ratio, the same impedance ratio, but this one will probably handle more watts than this one. So this one will run cooler than this one will. It may have some better performance as well. Admit it, this is kind of a rinky-dink looking, audio output transformer, but at least it works compared to this one. All right, so what I'm going to do is, since this one has a burned out and gone now primary, I really can't do much testing with this one. But what I can do is test this one. All right, so we're going to check what its turns ratio is. And what I'm going to use is kind of the famous Uncle Doug method. All right, so what we're going to do is I'm going to tap in to the variac using a little suicide cord here, suicide plug. And what I'm going to do is hook up a couple of leads. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have the variac, and I'm going to put AC voltage into the primary of the audio output. Okay. So let me get this hooked up. Alright, so I've got voltage coming from the variac into the primary of the audio output tube. Now what I want to do is I want to measure how much voltage is going into that point from the variac. And I want it to be more accurate than this. Let's see if I can set this up where you can see it. This will be the input voltage. Okay. So I can pick it up here and here. Okay. So now that allows me to bring up the voltage in the variac into the primary and measure its voltage right here. Okay. Okay, so then what I want to do is I want to take my other voltmeter here and I want to put it on AC volts, and I want to measure the voltage out of the secondary. So this is measuring the voltage that would go to the speaker. So the variac is giving me the voltage from the B plus, you know, as a signal would be coming from it, I guess just to say, from the audio output transformer. And then this fellow is going to be measuring what that voltage is on the secondary of the transformer on its way to the speaker. Okay, that's set on AC, that's set on AC. Turn this way down. All the way to the bottom, in fact. Okay, variac is on. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to raise the voltage on the variac until I get 1 volt out of the secondary. Okay, so this is the Uncle Doug method. It's really, really nice. So I'm going to bring it up. I bet nobody can see it. Okay, let's see if I can adjust this. Alright, let's bring this up till I get a volt out. I can make it more accurate by going to 2 volts out, right? But we'll just do it his way. Nothing wrong with his way. It'll be within the error of everything else. So I'm bringing the variac up. You can see the variac is putting out currently 22 volts. And I'm almost to 1 volt AC out. I'm not doing it slow because I'm trying not to cause damage. I'm going slow because it's, you know, variac's meant to go up to 130 volts. It's kind of hard to move in this area. Okay. Now we can sit there and tweak on that for a while. But that's basically 1 volt out. All right. Like I said, it'd be a little bit easier for me to get it accurately on this variac if I went to 2 volts. See, it's really moving around. That's pretty close, okay? So with 1 volt out, I have 27.5 volts in. So my turns ratio is 27.5 to 1, okay? So I have 27.5 volts going in to give me 1 volt out. So my turns ratio is 27.5 to 1. The impedance ratio is the square of that. So the square of 1 is 1, and then the other side of this would be 27 point, what do you want to call it, 5655? We'll call it 55. 2755 times 2755. 27.55. 759. So the impedance ratio on this is 759, maybe easier to just say 760 to 1. Okay, so that tells me how I can find a replacement for this if I have some junkers that are not even with radios anymore. Now, is that possible? I could have something like that? Well, yeah. At the same place where I got this radio, is I got this tub full of transformers. Okay. I have no idea what these go to, but I've got a lot of them. Are they meant to be audio output transformers? I don't know. They're not center tapped. They have numbers in some cases where I could do some parts looking up. This one's gigantic. I don't need one this big for this radio, but that's big. How about these? I've got 2 of them that match, but these aren't audio output transformers. These are power transformers. But I did do earlier a turns ratio check on this one. Okay, and this one has a turns or winding ratio of 4 to 1, which gives me impedance ratio of 16 to 1. That will not work for this application, clearly. But I may be able to use this methodology, right, and find one that gives me in the winding or the impedance ratios that I'm looking for. Okay, if I can find one of those, then I may bring it in and do a restore on this. Or I may just decide this one's okay if I leave it playing for a while and decide, heck, what am I worried about? It'll be okay. But that's what I'll be on the look for. Anyway, then I would like to go in and, you know, kind of do something about the way these capacitors are put in here. First of all, to be polite, my job with how I did these capacitors is just meant to tack it in. It looks awful. I would probably come up with a way to attach it down here, put in a strip. You know, the way I do this, I'll put in a thermistor, I'll put in a fuse, polarize the plug to the chassis. Here's the depth capacitor. I'll put a safety cap in there. I may do that anyway since I may have it playing. I may do that anyway. But then go through, and I think some of this is just a little bit too, you know, not that great. So anyway, I don't know. So there you go, folks. This is a fixed radio now. We know what the problem is with this. We need to find a permanent solution for the audio output transformer. This one will work, but it's not really easily mounted. It wants to go through a printed circuit board. So, you know, I could maybe tie wrap it in, but I'm not going to do that, at least not for now. I'm going to see if I can find the right audio output transformer for this. And then if I do, then I'll go through and do a restoration. You know, we need to do something about the mud dauber nest. You know, we didn't do an alignment. We could do some cleanup. We definitely want to do some of those other things I mentioned a while ago. So what I'm going to do is tag this. You know, I'm not even going to do the plug right now. I'm going to wait till I find the transformer, and then I'll go through and do a bit of a restoration on this. I think it's nice, but I don't know when I'm going to do that. It'll depend on when I find a transformer. So if there's going to be a part 2, I don't know exactly when, but look for it. You know, if it shows up, I hope you get a chance to see it. Thanks for sticking with me on this one. I think this has been kind of an interesting one, and thanks a lot. Talk to you later. Bye.